in the Best of 5 series. Tricked Esports will pick up Sky Temple. Team Dignitas will have the first pick.
Sky Temple taken against Team Dignitas. Now Dig has 4 games on the map, 3 wins, 1 loss. And Tricked Esports themselves actually looking pretty good in Sky Temple. 4 victories, a single loss, a very, very similar track record for the 2 teams here. So this is just simply where Tricked said, okay, we're going to take this. It's also a map where we have seen from Method a bit of a cheesy draft with an Abathur solo pseudo support with Samuro. So might be one of the maps where Tricked has a pocket strategy that they're trying out against Team Dignitas, or they just feel more confident here. It's also another map where we could potentially see the Haka again.
Yeah, if you're looking for odd strategies to pull off on this battleground, you want to find something that in the early game, that 1 through 4, gives you a pretty decent advantage in terms of team fighting, something that allows you to kind of force the issue. Because if you can snowball this battleground, it's a battleground that's kind of hard to come back on. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's the objective of target structures right away. It's definitely a bit of a concern. We have seen Abathur banned on the last map already. It could definitely see another Abathur ban here in this game.
True. Well, so far I'm thinking about that Genji, Team Dignitas is. As a ban here, Make always excels in the Genji, especially with the teamwork displayed by Tricked Esports. Now, why do you lock that in? They're still thinking about it. There it is.
Okay, so Genji already taken away. Is Tricked gonna ban Medivh? That's actually a question that I currently have. You still have Hanzo that you could also ban, because we all know how fast you can take these camps, and especially the boss later on, if Hanzo is available. So Hanzo would be a decent ban. You could go and... I mean, we haven't even seen frontline bans, to be honest. Garrosh and Diablo have not played a role on the last map, and traditionally, over the last few weeks, they have been 2 of the heroes that are targeted very early on in the drafts. Tricked, on the other hand, they are trying to get rid of the Tracer factor. As we said, Dignitas is now more and more banning out Tracer if they are not first pick. But as they now have the chance to go into Dignitas, Tricked doesn't really want to risk that. Leaves a lot of options though. You can start with Hanzo, you can start with Medivh even. Could see that coming in. Or you can just target that frontline again.
Tricked to show they're willing to pick up the Medivh, and with the Medivh being available, you have to think about that combo of Medivh and Diablo. So Dignitas will have to consider that when picking up their first pick here. They can take the Diablo away, they can take the Medivh away, they can just make sure that when they head down the other lane of the pickups, that they are making sure that they can handle any pressure that's coming their way. Maiev is going to be their pick, as they're like, all right, well, it seems like this is one of our favorites to pick up, and if you are in a situation where you use a portal, we still have that tether to control you. Yeah,
so Snitch again heading into Maiev. As we said before, they played a couple of games with her, but this was the first victory that we just saw with Maiev. But apparently the team just really starting to play her more and more here. And it's very reminiscent again from what Team Liquid is doing. One of the reasons why Team Liquid is playing with Maiev is not only the setups you can achieve with the cage, but it's the displacement that they're really looking for. Using the tether, which we have seen on Dragon and Shire in conjunction with Junkrat, so trying to just get one tether into another displacement and working around that. Outside of the Maiev first pick though, Tricked Esports head straight into Hanzo as expected. He is a high priority on the map for reasons mentioned. And with that comes Diablo, which now puts Dignitas into a spot where they have to think about Medivh at least, might even want to ban them out later on.
And don't forget about Blaze too. Tricked has shown time and time again that they'll run Hanzo, Diablo, Blaze, and they'll set up for that wombo combo. The arrow into the Apocalypse, into a jet propulsion, will set targets down, and you will burn them with fire. So we'll see if Dignitas is aware of that. I wouldn't mind seeing a Blaze pick up here, and then maybe a ban, as you mentioned, of Medivh later on.
Why is burning with fire a thing? What else do you burn them with?
You can burn people with ice.
Frostburn?
Yeah, you ever heard of dry ice?
Yeah.
Dry ice literally burns your skin off if you hold it.
It isn't burned, but that doesn't matter. Before we go on a tangent here.
Did you know the biggest...
You are correct.
While we're talking about burning, what do you think is the biggest desert in the world?
The biggest desert in the world?
The biggest desert in the world.
Okay, I'm probably wrong because you're jumping on it, but I would say Sahara.
No, the Arctic. The Arctic is the biggest desert in the world.
Nah, come on.
Yeah. A barren wasteland is a desert, and the Arctic is the biggest.
Today I learned. You're so smart.
2 facts today. You can get burned with ice. You get the desert.
You get the Wheel of Science.
Now, to be fair,
we need a name, by the way, for that wheel, guys. We don't have a name for it yet, so use the hashtag.
I like the Wheel of Results. That's what I. Is that
but then we can only talk about results. I want to talk with the wheel about more things. We need an actual name for the wheel because we're gonna bust it out a bit more often in the future. So, guys, hashtag HGC, tweet at Heroes Esports, and let us know what is the official name of the wheel? If we get good answers, if we get actually a couple of good suggestions, we're going to use one of them, I promise you that.
And I got a note from Josh, too. If you get a good name, too, we will make upgrades to that wheel and make it spectacular for you at home.
Yeah.
So get on top of it. Josh is willing to put down on the line a better wheel for the HGC, depending on you guys. It's in your hands. Now, Blaze gets picked up. Love this adjustment by Team Dignitas for the reasons mentioned. And then there's Malfurion.
Phoenix being banned out now. But didn't you want to throw in another fact about like the Arctic and it being a desert or something? That's, by the way, the Medivh ban that we talked about, like you just mentioned it. Diablo, if you have him on your side, you definitely want to make sure that your ban, or if your opponent has it, you are thinking about Medivh. That combo is just too strong. And again, it's not only the combo. It's not only that you're saying, hey, Leyline into APOC is awesome. It's also Diablo can be so much more aggressive and it's so much harder to actually take him down. So super important that Medivh is eliminated when Diablo is an early pick.
Yeah, your safe space becomes very unsafe when you have a Medivh portal being available, as well as that Force of Will. So that's going to be taken away. Now, for a second there, Butcher was actually hovered as a possible ban. That's not Dignitas joking around or trolling. There's actually a threat that Tricked Esports could pull out the Butcher because of Alex Aproji. When you face off against Tricked Esports, you have to be aware that there are weird things that can come out. Arcanus in the past, Diva, Butcher we played on a stream, Zul, these are all viable options for Tricked.
I think he went a bit away from the Butcher though. Like
But it can always come back.
It can always come back.
It's like riding a bike. Once you play Butcher once and you get those meat stacks, you're like, you know what, I can do that again.
I was sad when he started to actually move away from it a bit. But now we have Uther Falstad taken. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
You know who's pretty good with Uther?
Snitch. Oh, I was going to say Falstad. Dang, I was ready to like go into sellout mode and set up the website.
Butcher.
Butcher is good with
seriously, last pick Alex. Last pick Alex with an Uther. So I don't think we're going to see a Butcher here, but I would not put... Again, this is a game where Tricked has already announced we might try some stuff here.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about Falstad, I actually think that Snitch has a really clever auto attack build that is highlighted on our website, so you should check that out.
In a clever manner, he just weaves in those auto attacks and destroys opponents. It's a build that's been tried and true, and you can check it out at playheroes.com/HG.
Yeah, you have a couple of people that just weave in stupid auto attacks when they're playing Falstad. Not so Snitch. He has clever auto attacks. There's a huge difference here.
We are buttheads. You know that, right? Like,
hey, we're not memeing that at all.
Teammate Dignitas thinking about their 4th and 5th pickup. Gonna need some range damage here. There's always that yoink and point combo with the Maiev, Warden's Cage into the Junkrat poking. Very possible. Also good to get the Diablo if he oversteps. Wouldn't mind seeing it here.
All right, Dick, show us what you got. Last 2 picks, Blaze, Stitches, and Greymane. Okay, so Stitches hook into a Malfurion route. That's actually a lot of CC that they have here.
Yeah.
Jet propulsion after a hook has also in the past proved to be pretty successful. I want to know the Alex. I'm still waiting every single week for an Alex X Factor, and we don't see that these days a lot. All shall suffer once again as Leoric makes it into play. Tricked hasn't played Leoric as much as they have in the past, but after they just played it in the last series, Alex is actually talking about it, how he really enjoys playing Leoric right now.
Yeah.
Not sure why I confused the two. Both from the same franchise, both from the same game, both pretty awesome, but a little bit of a different playstyle on them. But Alex, he enjoys his Leoric, and he's happy that he can just bring him back in.
Leo always feels natural also into double tank setups just here for Stitches and Blaze, especially with tanks that don't have the best escapes or can displace you. And since Diablo and Garish aren't here, Stitches suddenly does become a prime target for that Leoric and team to pop off. But as mentioned, this combo from Dignitas is scary too.
With all the heroes that we have in the setup of Dignitas, you get so much out of Consume Vitality too. So it's definitely a great pick for them. And of course, you get the entire lane soak, which we're going to see from Alex here. A nice setup for them. Falstad is always interesting to see too. Yep. Can create a lot of space for you. You have a bit more control over the boss area, which can really help if it comes down to that 4 fight. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of tools for Tricked here. But then again, Dignitas looks so dominant on map number 1, so it's gonna be a tough match for Tricked, no doubt about it. But let's see if maybe they can take down Dignitas on Skytempo.
Let's do it. Game number 2 is ready to go. Dignitas taking on Tricked Esports, and I also gotta say, Make playing that Falstad, I used to be a little bit rough on him, man. I was kind of hard on his gameplay. He has gotten much better on the Falstad and has definitely been delivering some plays for his team. So keep an eye out for that as Dignitas is here on the left in the blue. Poik to play Greymane, Snitch Maiev, Wubby on Blaze, JPL playing Stitches, and Malfurion played by Zelia.
And over to the right side of the map, we have their opponent. It's Tricked Esports with Alex the Frog on Leoric. We see Make on Falstad, Crosby on Hanzo, Garampaquete on Uther, and Remabola on Diablo. And you know, you've been mentioning Falstad here, and when we're talking about Falstad, Tricked actually plays a fair amount of it. They have played 6 games so far this season, and that is more than any other team, so they are the Falstad team right now. But as you said, we have mixed results for them. They won 50% of the games with Falstad, so that's going to change here now, of course. But definitely cool to see that they are playing around the global. Interesting to see. Okay, there we go. Alex just with a bit of a later pick. I was for a moment a bit interested in seeing him holding back his level 1 talent, but he goes into Consume Vitality, so he plays the standard build here. I was actually wondering if he would mix things up slightly.
I have to correct myself because I was called on Twitter. It's Antarctica, not the Arctic. The Arctic's an ocean.
So you're lying to me?
I did lie to you.
Okay.
It started with an A. Close enough.
Wait, the Arctic is an ocean?
Yeah, apparently. That's what he said in the Twitter.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, my geography is so off right now. I actually am doubting myself. I can't say anything.
But at least tell me that the Sahara is the biggest hot desert.
Probably.
I hope so, because I mean that was immediately my go-to. So yeah, but yeah, as I know that my geography is pretty much trash, let's focus on the thing that we know a little bit more about. Currently here in the game, we have actually an interesting setup at the bot lane with Grand Paquette really helping Alex to sustain himself through the pressure to make sure that he doesn't lose out against Blaze. It can be a pretty rough matchup for Leoric, but with that help it worked out. Interestingly enough, the level 1 talent though that we are seeing for Blaze here, that is a new one. New habits coming into play. So going straight for the regeneration globes to reduce the cooldown of Pyromania. And that's actually a pretty interesting setup. Also getting the Unstoppable if you get your reward then later with Pyromania. Haven't really seen that played yet by any player. We've seen through the weekend usually the normal adjustments. But yeah, that's definitely a bit of a new touch that he's putting onto the hero.
So let's tank that initial arrow that might come in from Hanzo. You can walk through the APOC. And then worst case scenario, if you're wanting to make an insane play, if Mighty Gus comes out, you could drop it during the Mighty Gus and go in for an engage afterwards and lock down your opponent. We'll see if Blaze is able to pull that off. Just looks like he doesn't want to deal with any CC that can come his way. Wubby already taking some damage here on the bottom lane, going to try and retreat. This side lane mana has been really, really hard for him lately, as Tricked Esports has really picked on Wubby today. Exactly.
They are just homing on Wubby in both of the games that we've seen so far, trying to take him down here. And this time, another early game kill for Tricked Esports. Also, with Falstad, Market playing him now with Seasoned Marksman on level 1, but heading into the Static Shield over Hammer Gains on level 4, so trying to get the extra shield. Makes a lot of sense against Greymane and also Maiev. Once they are trying to go in against you, you have a bit more survivability, even if you can't weave in the clever auto attacks.
We'll see if the clever Lightning Rod will be strong enough to overcome the build that we've seen in the past. Team in Dignitas pushing in this top lane with that Night Camp. It's actually setting up for maybe a bit of a gank here. They have JPL already set up here on the bottom right. He's sharking around. They're going to come check out this Night Camp. You can slam over the wall and see if your opponent's there, but it's all about a hook if he wants to land something.
Yeah, and those hooks, they have been really successful for Tricked just in the past. Stitches is still super, super strong in Europe. He has only lost a single game, and that was actually when the Zealots played it with Mopsio, though it was not successful. But outside of that, we're seeing Stitches with a great track record, and especially when we're looking towards Dignitas, they just know how to play that hero. 3 wins, 0 losses. We know how much of an impact they had last year in 2017 in particular with Stitches, where even the Koreans were afraid of their Stitches factor and didn't really know how to deal with it. But JPL is under pressure in this game so far. Hasn't really landed one of those money hooks just yet, but he's definitely going to try. And then there is Zelia to consider, who will have the follow-up ready to lock the target into place and take it down.
Turrets or temples at least grabbed though by Tricked Esports to get that front wall on the top broken down pretty quickly. So this means that Falstad with that global will allow some time here to be a bit annoying and attempt to, you know, make that a little bit weaker. Being able to fly into any of those fights later on is always a strong tool. Now Dignitas already coming in for another combo. Leoric with the jet propulsion is going to get locked down here after the Wraith Walk into a hook. JPL goes for the auto attack, even seeing Wubby and Poik move in for it. No way. Did Poik disengaging early actually cost him that kill?
Yeah, it definitely did. And that was actually a beautiful setup that we saw from Dignitas. The Wraith Walk comes out just a second too early from Alex, and then we have Blaze with a perfect follow-up, stunning Leoric as he comes out of the Wraith Walk. The roots on the ground, and then JPL, of course, has no chance of missing that hook. But Alex moving away, and it was the quick rotation from the mid lane, from Grand Paquette, that allowed them to keep Leoric alive. But yeah, that was pretty spectacular here. So what looked like a safe kill turned into a very impressive save on Leoric.
Interestingly enough, we have a repeat of what we saw in game number 1. 1 kill over to Tricked Esports, but very close in terms of experience. This should change with the next tempo about to spawn, and with it hitting 5 minutes, the boss is here as well. And both our teams are quick on these Giants, just trying to get something happening down here in the bottom lane, trying to pull resources towards the south. Rimmer even moving in for Greyman as we go straight into a route, so Poik's able to be just fine.
And HGC removing the stun combo here from Poik as we saw Diablo slam him straight into Uther's stun. But keep in mind that we have actually a fair amount of great tools for Tricked Esports when it comes to boss control. And especially around level 20, that is going to even increase since Leoric is likely to head into the Entomb. And so Buried Alive would be great to control that point. But of course, we're still a far cry away from 20. But even on level 10 with Apocalypse, Entomb, Hanzo Arrow, and also the Mighty Gust, Tricked Esports has a fantastic play around boss pushes.
But Dignitas hits 10 first, and they're going to look to break down this fort. They still have those Giants pushing too, at least one of them, which is going to help out for sieging down. Crosby should be able to clear that up pretty soon with the safety of Hanzo poking from afar. But that 10 just being stoked for Tricked Esports so they can fight on this temple, who currently is being controlled by Dignitas.
A heavy push coming in here once again to the top lane. So the temple, they give up the temple at the bot lane, but they get the value up at the top, where we're now seeing immediately Alex moving in together with Marke. Whoopi alone just can't handle that pressure, but Dignitas is playing this smart. As they see that the temple isn't contested, they only leave Maiev on the temple and make an immediate rotation into the mid lane to push it out and also secure, of course, the top. They can't save the fort, but they can at least prevent Tricked from moving farther forward and trying to drop the keep wall.
2 forts.
Oh.
Damage on the 3rd fort as well with this temple.
Look at that, Divine Storm. Uther going into, like, they already are stacking an insane amount of stuns with the Hanzo Arrow, with the Diablo, with then also at least CC to some extent coming into play through Leoric and his Entomb. But now we're even having the Divine Storm, and they're going for it into the Hanzo Arrow. Snitch goes down, getting bodied here by Crosby and Remaballer. Well done, well played. That was actually a beautiful engage. Uther walking into the bush, seeing Maiev, dropping the Divine Storm right away, and then Diablo body slamming him into the Hanzo Arrow. 4 versus 5 fight now in favor of Tricked Esports, but Diablo needs to be careful. Marke as well. Mighty Gust is being used for the disengage. The hook, on the other hand, still hits Grand Paquette, and that should be the end of Uther. Dignitas gets a counter kill.
And this is the issue with a wombo combo. If you're not in the position afterwards, you use a lot of your heroics to burn down 1 target, maybe 2, in a team fight. And if you are in a situation where you haven't put much damage onto your opponent, you have to have that Mighty Gust for a disengage right away. Team Dignitas, realizing this, immediately forces the fight in a 4v5, and they catch an Uther as well with the hook as he straggles behind his opponent. And this opens up Dignitas straight into a boss. Great reaction by them.
Yeah, it was really important for Tricked to dodge that hook. They couldn't lose the target here. They used 2 heroic abilities to drop Maiev, and I actually think that this is an absolute okay trade. But then they got forced into a fight that they should not have taken here. They got a bit too ambitious and walked into more or less the traps, and Stitches connected the hook here. But I really like the coordination of Remaballer just absolutely slamming Maiev into the Hanzo Arrow. That was really cool to see. And of course, it all came off a very strong CC chain that Snitch just simply couldn't dodge. But now with that boss, Dignitas is starting to take the lead in experience once again. They have a half a level lead over Tricked, and they just grabbed their level 13 talent.
And they'll get more experience in the top lane. They're already setting up for a push. They have 4 there. They have Blaze in the middle, scouting out if anyone's going to rotate for a flank. Nice little anchor by him, as Tricked Esports says, okay, well, I guess we'll head in the middle lane as we need to get 13 for ourselves. Team Dignitas, actually, if they would like, they can keep pushing on this. They're going to head straight down this bottom lane, or top lane. They need to be careful, though, because in the bottom lane, there's a total of 4 Giants heading into their fort, and we'll eventually get that keep wall if they don't do something about it.
Again, they are just absolutely fantastic when it comes to running with these advantages. They are just so strong on realizing how through good macro game, on macro play, they can solidify an advantage that they have and get even farther ahead. But here comes the fight, and this is actually where Alex, yeah, there comes the APOC combo. Great play. Cage comes out, and they could still try and drop Snitch here. The hook of JPL keeps him alive for a moment, but then Remaballer goes in and just bodies him into the wall. That's the death of Maiev, and they're trying to go for the double kill. As JPL is low, Remaballer tries to move in. He is able to escape, but Whoopi might not be so lucky, and the hook is hitting Remaballer. Diablo goes down. Dignitas is getting a counter kill. This is getting crazy. They should have lost another 2-3 heroes here, but instead they are making it a 4 versus 4.
The ability for the bunker to come down gave Stitches just enough time to get healed up by Xaylia. JPL able to waddle away, and while he was retreating, Tricked Esports tried to chase him down. They wanted to get the kill on Stitches, and that set up a 3-man stun from Blaze. He turned around with the jet propulsion, locked down a turret, and with Poik coming from the side with that Grey Man, they were able to get a kill. Now, it's all about this middle lane here as the temple is being grabbed. Tricked Esports is going to be able to grab it thanks to Diablo being back. But remember, his souls have been reset.
And I'm really still amazed how Dignitas played that fight. Once again, the Entomb comes out. Xaylia's in trouble, but JPL, he's everywhere. His hooks have been money the entire time. He goes in, hooks targets out of dire situations, is able to turn a fight around as Trick tries to disengage. Very impressive, the impact that JPL has again with Stitches. But now, of course, it's about that bottom temple. Again, Hanzo with a scatter arrow trying to scout a bit what's happening here. If maybe someone is hiding in these bushes. Dignitas has half a level to 16. And we see both teams starting to converge onto that bottom temple. The problem still remains. Dignitas is close to the next talent here. And the hook comes out again. Remaballa in trouble. He doesn't have the souls.
Doesn't have the souls. He's low in health, down to a quarter. Xaylia comes in, will be able to force a fight. Massive Twilight Dream landing on 2 members of Uther is being chained here. Pulled to the side as Grandpa Kit is low in health and is going to be able to retreat, but Alex Ambrogi, not so lucky as he falls as victim to Tricked Esports. Tricked Esports trying to retreat as Team Dignitas keeps all 5 up.
Once again, good CC chains that we had from Trick, but it just wasn't enough. We saw the APOC coming out and then also the Divine Storm of Uther locking the target into the ground for longer. The problem was really that from a damage perspective, they can't drop any of these targets quick enough to really capitalize on it.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of this is going to change to an extent once that we are seeing Maka completing his season marksman. He also has his levels 13. But at the same time, they need more stacks on Diablo. They need to make sure that Diablo has the extra stacks. Level 16 would help them, of course, as well, especially once we have Leoric with his 13-16 synergy on the Ominous Wrath and Royal Focus. But here comes another potential fight. Whoopi wants the camp, and Tricked is going in. Maiev from the side is already on the case, and Hanzo jumps out barely. Nice gust, pushing Snitch out. Can they kill a target in the meantime? The stun combo is hitting Poik again, but it's Falstad who dies first, and Alex is now also on the run.
Alex on the right, drops the Entomb just for good measure, but he eventually falls too. Tricked Esports was able to grab the Giants, but they lose 2 of their teammates, and with 17 1/4 and nearly 16 for Tricked Esports, Team Dignitas is pushing towards the keep, and they have 20 seconds before Falstad even back on the field.
And that was, of course, the problem, fighting without the level 16 talent. Tricked's idea was to really dominate this fight before it turns into a proper 5 versus 5 setup, and they just didn't do it in time. Once Maiev came in, the Gust also comes out, trying to buy them a few more precious seconds, but with the talent disadvantage, as it turns into an even battle with even numbers, Dignitas just absolutely dominates it. And right now, it's pretty rough for Trick to get back into this. They have the 16 talent now. They're 2 levels behind. At this point, you need to be aggressive. You need to really try and play around the even talents, because once the Dignitas hits level 20, Tricked is going to be forced in very awkward battles that they don't want to fight.
They are setting up for it. Team Dignitas is going to walk forward and try and check out this boss. Smart play by Xaylia, though, dropping the root on the bush, making sure he can go through. Wubby goes in for a jet propulsion hit. Rimmer gets the sidestep into a shadow charge into the wall, but Wubby able to drop down the bunker where the APOC comes out. Alex Aproji looking for people on the back left, but he's all by himself.
Xaylia again with a great nature's cure here, making sure they're saving them. The Entomb is great. Alex keeps himself alive for a few more seconds, tries to move out, but he still falls. Gran Paquete also low. The hook is missing this time, but it's very unlikely that Uther is getting out of this. Once again, a double kill in favor of Dignitas as they have 7 kills against 3, and of course their first call is go for the boss, move through the bot lane, and try to see if we can even finish the game.
And with no Gus being available, looks like Tricked Esports will not be able to contest this, and they shouldn't, and with a 3v5 not being in their favor. Instead, they're going to push out this bottom lane and deal with the catapults that are already sharking their way towards their core. But Dignitas could be setting up for a kill move here. There's temple spawning soon. They can put one down there on the south and push with the rest here and attempt to make sure this boss gets on the core. They're going to push with all 5, actually.
Yeah, they're starting to go for it. I mean, there's a double temple there, but they want to end the game now. And the problem is they really can. If they connect with one hook and get an additional kill, there's a good chance. There are tools for Trick, but most of their ults should still be on cooldown, and that's a massive problem. Since Dignitas, of course, have Bunker ready again, can move in for it. Yeah, here comes an attempt to stop them for now. Remaballa is already in the back, but here comes the bullet, and he is biting the dust. Diablo down and the boss already on the core. This is not looking good for Tricked.
Dignitas just turns way too fast. Rimmer just had no option. Once the root came down, the Curse Bullet follow-up, Team Dignitas cleaned him up quickly, and he won't be here for 30 seconds. The rest of Tricked Esports trying to defend, but remember, they've already used the Dragon's Arrow. It's actually really hard for them to even force this engage. They get a stun here on my F. Stitch is going to use the Vault to try and escape, and he's low on health, but it doesn't matter because the core is done. Team Dignitas goes up in the series 2-0.
A quick and early lead by Dignitas in the best of 5, looking powerful here today. And Tricked just not having the answer to drop them here. Even with a good setup through CCs that they had, it wasn't enough to confirm the kills quickly enough. It just felt a bit as if Foresight in particular didn't have the damage output that they needed to